Karl Marx said religion is the opium of the masses. We're going to talk about how true that is. Also, they say religion is older than even the creation of man. This is State of the Culture, brought to you by Izesan, Speak Esan, the language learning app. You can learn various African languages on the app. All you need to do is download the app on your Google or iOS Play Store and get learning. My name is Justina Angiating and I am your host. I do not do this alone. I have two co-hosts and a special guest just for this topic.
My name is Oede Jolewatosin.
My name is Jerry Kenichi.
And with us here to speak about religion and should religion be regulated, which is what we're talking about in this episode, I have an authority on that topic. Now, first of all, he's an ICT business director from Alpha Tenant Company. I hope I pronounced that right, please. That's correct. Thank you so much. We have Pastor Samuel Alade. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on this episode. Thank you. So yes, he's interestingly a pastor as well, and of course, the right person to talk about this topic. So, like I said earlier, Karl Marx said religion is the opium of the masses. Now, religion is something that, to a believer, religion is one of the most important things. A believer is one who professes a certain faith, especially in a religion. And the person professing that faith has almost absolute, if not absolute, confidence in the teachings and the preachings of whichever religion it is that they worship at. Now, let's talk about religion. Religion is something that guides so many people's choices, from the names they give their children to the people they marry and so many other things. So when Karl Marx said that religion is the opium of the people, you know it wasn't far-fetched, because a lot of us make our decisions based on religion. So first off, let's talk about, what it takes to set up a religious institution. And let's bring it down to Nigeria. What does it take? So,
Okay, when we talk about religion, it's actually a very broad thing. So I'm going to use Christianity as a case study, because Christianity is not the only religion we have in Nigeria. We have like loads of them. Now, the first thing you need to do is to devise a plan. When I say devise a plan, I mean you have to, bring down your doctrine, because, we have like several denominations when it comes to Christianity. We have the Pentecostals, we have the Catholics, the Anglicans, we have the Methodists, like the Baptists. There are actually a lot. We have the Jehovah's Witnesses and everybody. So you have to devise a plan in order to, open your church. You set out your rules and regulations, your doctrines, your beliefs, your belief system rather, and that's the first thing you have to do. Secondly, you have to, choose a name. Now, the name you are choosing, it can be long, it can be short, anything can be, registered for you, but it is preferable to choose a short name, just so it's easier for your members to pronounce. That's why you see these days when you have like longer names, you see them cutting it into maybe abbreviations.
Yes.
See things like CAAANNN.
yes,
That.
Oh,
So
wow.
you just have to,
What happens?
yeah, you have to like pick an easier name, just things like maybe Love and Light Ministry. Just saying. Then the third thing you have to do is to appoint your trusteeship committee. Now, these are the backbones of the church, because like an organization cannot run without people that actually let's call it the forefathers, the backbone, like people that will just be there to help you. Can you, sir, please, if I'm wrong, correct me.
Yes,
You need people that will tell you what to do, not tell you what to do. People that will just be there for you, part of your administration, in quotes. That's like the third thing you have to do. And part of this trust, you can't just pick anybody as your trusteeship committee. The person has to be at least 18 years of age and of sound-minded person. The person should not have any criminal record according to this
Corporate Affairs Commission.
according to the CAC, the Corporate Affairs Commission. They have like their own rules set out. So this person should not be younger than 18 years, should not have any form of criminal records, and then you're good to go for your trusteeship committee. Then the first thing you have to do is to get a solicitor. This solicitor cannot just be anybody. The person must be accredited by the CAC too. They have to accredit the person. It should be legal that yes, okay, you've registered this person under us, now you're good to go. So these four things are ways whereby you can actually set up your religious place. And oh, I forgot to mention something earlier on. A religious place, though people have this talk of it's a business organization. But then the CSE, they told us that the religious places, yes, they are being registered as a business, but it's a non-profit business. So it is seen as a non-profit business. So yeah. So please, if you know you want to open up a church, a religious place, you don't just open up a church at your backyard. You have to go through these 4 stages: devise a plan, pick your doctrine, know your doctrine, your rules, your regulations. Secondly, I'm going to repeat that for you again. Second thing you have to do is to choose a church name. Choose a name. Thirdly, appoint your trusteeship council, and lastly, have a solicitor.
Yeah.
So, Daddy, I would prefer to call you Daddy, sir. Okay, Daddy. I would like you, because like you have more authority on this, I would like you to elaborate, expatiate, and educate us more on. Okay, let me not use that. I want to ask you, do you think most religious places actually go through these processes to set up their churches,
Especially in today.
Well,
in Nigeria today?
talking about Nigeria, where I can give you examples, yes, not all have gone through that process. But before you become known publicly, majorly, whereby you can wear a kind of control or influence, yes, you are expected to have really evolved and come to that status whereby you have names, maybe in acronyms or whatever form, you must have been set up. The truth of it is this: for those who takes religion as business, yes, you can call it business, because anything you are doing that involves money and that is serious is a serious business.
Yes.
But the definitions people are giving to it now is a bit controversial. One, in the main sense of religion, when you are talking about Christianity now, most Christians that are faithful, that are true, they do not start big. They start with convention and calls.
Okay.
And when we talk about calls, many don't even welcome that call because of the past experience of believers, especially Christians, what they suffer in ancient days.
Yeah.
So, but now when they are coming up, they just have to be convinced themselves before they can think of setting up. And they don't have the money at the beginning. So they have to operate until people can believe them. Let me just give you an example of some of the Pentecostals in Nigeria.
Okay.
The Pentecostals in Nigeria started from realizing that God is speaking to you as an individual. Then you begin to listen. What does He want you to do? You test the spirit. Is it the Spirit of God or a demon? Then if you are sure it's the Spirit of God, then you must have been trained over the years with convictions of that voice you are hearing.
Yeah.
Or you grow up in Christianity.
Okay.
Because you can't just register. Yes, if somebody makes his money from somewhere and he sees it as such a sweet business without any true Spirit of God, yes, can get all you are talking about within months, or borrow the money, set it up, but such will not be regarded because he will be so much particular about making profits,
Sure.
not winning souls, which is the major reason for the call of God on people, that I want you to win souls for me to the kingdom. So basically, those things cannot come first at all. It will be until you are mature to a level that you are really coming up, just like a business. You start indoor until you are able to gain some balance before you can ever think of it. Not starting one day or even 1 year, 2 years. It's except for some who have been in their business and God has been calling them. And you can't postpone the call of God anyhow. God will deal with that fellow.
Obviously.
You can't resist, actually.
When God has your time.
Yes.
Yes. And you mentioned people that go into it for making profits, and sometimes in some situations these people are caught preying on believers, people that are actually coming because they need a sense of devotion and they want to connect with God, but they are getting into a church of a person who is just there to make profit. So somebody like that, like you said, doesn't exactly have the spirit, but it's just trying to make profit. So I feel like Kelechi should leave this on. Like, how do you tell when a pastor is misleading? What are the situations that, point that this person is actually misleading?
Basically,
Okay.
No, sir.
Please go ahead.
okay, such people do so much advertisement just to profess themselves as powerful and anointed, prove so many things that are not necessary to be proven.
Mhm.
I want to show you miracles, I want to show you so many things, and they are very much particular about their aesthetics and so many things like that are ephemeral, that are not really the reason for the call. But our best you can know is find what is the background of the so-called professed man of God or a religious leader. Then by that you will know where it's coming from and where it's going.
So before we open up with anything, let us discuss about religion. What is religion, and what is the history of religion in Nigeria specifically and its current state, especially for the different kinds of religion? We have 3 major and so many.
Thank you.
So, sir, thank you. Please, shed more light on that.
Okay. Yes. Using Nigeria as a case study. The history of religion in Nigeria starts from the culture and ethnicity, environment, and the general belief of communities. In the various communities in Nigeria, you have so many religions. For instance, to cut it short, you can talk in the Yoruba part, talk about Shango. Shango, those that worship Shango is the god of thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and some they are worshiping rocks.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Because during war or during threats, those rocks, they run to the rock and they find a kind of protection.
Yes.
So they believe this rock is wonderful, is really, and if there is any individual like a deity, okay, they take some of them like deities.
Yes.
Yeah, they can worship them even as rock. But somebody will be the priest who have certain incantation and certain deeper knowledge, and who has a mastery of certain words that can
Get through.
invoke the spirit on the rock or make something wonderful happen. So the people believe him once he can do that, and they continue to follow him and worship him. Some of them have, we reverse, for now we are knowledgeable to know that some of them are operating demonically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
And at the same time, some have divinations that you neither can place. For instance, look at Shango. If something is lost, be it a phone, expensive phone, or briefcase, or anything, and somebody takes it, it will surprise you that the Shango priest will ask for ram, this, that, and once you pay it,
It will be found.
and they make some incantations, and you see horrible rain within few minutes. And then you hear that thunderstorm, and it will strike and bring out what is lost and kill that individual, place it on him. We have heard about all those before. We have seen in some areas where it happens and there is uproar. That's a religion.
Yeah.
And from that level in the ancient days, religion has metamorphosized into different level that people now see that, okay, what you are telling us, we are not knowledgeable then. But when we are knowledgeable, we can read about the history of religion from Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, either through Islamic books or the biblical records.
Yeah.
So that's what informs Christianity, Islam, and traditional religion. The traditional religion is not limited to 1, 2, 3, 4, more than 100, even in Nigeria.
Actually,
So it depends
Few
on
dates.
environment. There are places they call Obatala, different locations. They have what they believe according to their environment and the threats they face and who saves them. If it's the Babalawo or whatever that saves them, it will become like a small god to them. And he has his incantations and people follow him. There are Oshun people that worship the river,
Yeah.
believing they get their children from river,
From the
they get
goddess.
their problems, the river goddess and all that, like Oshun in Oshun State and all that. So the background of religion is, is
Very
wide,
correct.
but as the current state now, the word is one. We can read online, apart from the Bible and the Quran, we can read online, we can now reason and see what is reality, what is meaningful, and what has a very clean background that we can hold on to that represent the true God. And that's where we are now, Christianity, Islam, and
It's,
the rest of them. So
Yeah.
individual makes choice according to
What
They are believing.
what they
whatever
believe in.
is relevant to you
That was amazing.
and what you believe in.
Thank you so much, sir, for the response. That was indeed educating. So, when Justina was introducing this topic today, I'm sure you guys heard something about should religion be regulated. So now I want to just touch small on that before I throw it to our guest. I mean, personally, or generally, I don't think religion can be regulated. Like, there's little more that we can do to having checks and balances in religion because, first off, in our constitution, there's a part whereby we have the right to freedom, thought, and religion. So if that is there in the constitution, there's little that you can tell someone. You can't actually tell someone how to worship his or her God, or where to go to, how to pray, how to do this, how to do that. I know that there's sometimes that we feel like, oh, this person is actually going to the extreme. But at the end of the day, you don't have a say in how I worship my God.
True.
Because, okay, now we have different denominations. We have the Pentecostals, the Catholics, and the likes of them. And there's some churches that don't even believe in speaking in tongues. And
Yes.
personally, I do. So someone else can be like, oh, what's this girl doing? She's not doing something right. But that doesn't mean I'm doing something wrong personally, because that's what I believe, that's what I like, that's what I feel like, that's how I can communicate to my God. So what I'm saying is that in essence is we cannot regulate how people would worship their God, or who to worship or who not to worship. So sir, please, I would like you to expatiate on that.
What? You're right. You're right to some extent. Yes, if you ask me, like you said, should religions be regulated or not? I want to tell you yes, but with small y. Yes.
Okay.
With small. I can't.
That's
But
not
if you
good.
insist capital Y, then we have to redefine it. Who
Okay.
should regulate religion?
That's true.
But now, in the context of that question, yes, there is a need for regulation, but who can do that regulation? That will not be biased,
Yes.
and at the same time, that have sufficient capacity spiritually to do justice.
Yes.
Without going too far, you cannot tell somebody that pray 5 times a day to please the God that he serves, to limit it to one or one time, or somebody that goes to church 5 days a week, or even 3 days a week. You can't limit him to say one.
Yeah.
So now, where does the revelation come in that will make the religion to do what it's doing? The only regulation you can do is please appeal that people should not disturb one another. They should avoid extremities.
Yes.
That is the simple regulation I see that somebody can regulate about religion. And at the same time, you can appoint maybe people from different religion and just do a little modification, because you cannot, if you are going to take some hard decisions, the fellow will consume himself, or the authority themselves will consume themselves.
Yes.
We have examples of it in the Bible that I know, that people that raise regulation by force, because of their evil intention, they were consumed by that particular regulation themselves. Particularly if you look at the case in the Bible, I can cite it to you. You can read that one when you get to Daniel chapter 6, 19 to 24. Yes. It's a prayerful fellow that prays 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And that's how he serves his God. And God gave him wisdom, understanding, and certain capacity to do wonders. Even in government, anywhere is wonderful. Understand it? And so, but when people thought that it's too much, they were looking for regulation to hold him down or to eliminate him. And that is where religious regulation can be dangerous. People that are claiming regulation, what is their motive? If their motive is not good, the harder they eat, the faster they consume themselves.
Yeah.
Because those people that wanted to regulate against a true child of God, after they have done it, God came to his rescue. The king knew this man is okay, King Darius. I said, okay, because it's been signed as the law of Pedis and what do you call it, that it cannot be reversed. He was okay, go into the pit of a lion, into the den of lion. They threw him into the pit, and the lion did not consume him because he's righteous and he's a true worshipper. He didn't do any regulation to carry trustees like you are asking me before. No trustee. He is a genuine child of God, and at the same time, the king knew, because you know those are righteous. He went back the following morning. Daniel, the servant of the Most High God, did your God save you? He said, yes. You are still alive?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank God. These people that forced me to write a wrong regulation, let them come and try, because they too must have a God. If their God can save them, we know their God that is okay. They brought him out, commanded they should bring Daniel out, and they brought Daniel out. And they said, those people, all the counselor, the regulators themselves who did regulation, that said the law must not be reversed. Anybody that asks any petition from any other God other than this government must be dealt with this. We say, okay, since it is so, you too that you made the regulation, come and try that place, because you must know what you are regulating before you regulate. So they went there with their wives and children, they never come back. So to regulate religion, I can tell you small why. Yes.
But not complete.
Not complete. Why? If you go that extent to do it according to your will, it will consume that film.
Okay, you guys heard that. So worship your God, but it shouldn't be to the detriment of the other person.
True.
Exactly.
Yes, and if you're going to have anybody that is going to regulate, it should be somebody that is guided by God and has good intentions as well.
Good intentions.
And not the wrong intentions.
Yes.
That's definitely what we got from that.
And without being ignorance.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. So we talk about regulating, and now we see so much in the media of pastors, let's say pastors, doing outrageous things. Like people have seen videos of them beating the girls publicly, shaving their heads, doing outrageous things.
Petrols.
Exactly. Oh my God, there are so much. You said you've seen it yourself. And so let's talk about this thing called regulating. How can we regulate this thing? Because they keep going on and on. So as much as we don't want them to go, because some of them are very, you see them and you're like, this is not what this is about, right? Some of them even scare you. So how or what do you think can be done to regulate it?
Yes, that's where government can actually put together those that you see that are genuine and have a long history which reflects righteousness, good fruits, and which you feel in good authority to give ideas of modifications. Yes, they can call them, and yes, the government can call them and gather them. In fact, from all religion, they can gather them. Take A, religion A, maybe Christianity, B, Islam, C, all other religions. There are so many other religions.
Yeah.
But by now, like I told you, we are seeing more light from every part of the world.
Yeah.
And you cannot deceive anybody for too long.
Yeah.
If your product is not okay and cannot save, cannot deliver, we're not going to follow you. So by that, they can now set up a kind of, there are regulatory bodies like even PFN, Pentecostal Federation of Nigeria, the CAN, Christian Association of Nigeria. So yes, each of the body that are okay, they should find one or the other group to belong to if they are indeed part of the system, and then they can keep to the norms and the rules that or showing unnecessary advertisement of Holy Spirit moving and turning and spinning and losing control or running and yes,
Only
it's
thing
true.
is fighting.
Sneakers.
Or,
The sneakers.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was something that went viral. According to them, it's okay with the Holy Spirit, but we could see sneakers. So
sneakers, huh?
Yeah.
yes,
Holy Spirit was putting on
it's
the
almost
sneakers.
unbelievable. It's just one of the things you see online about
See how
religion.
outrageous things are.
Yeah, it's becoming
Holy
outrageous.
Spirit
Yes.
choking you.
Wow.
Did you see that one?
I didn't see
Come
it.
out in Jesus' name.
Oh wow.
Then he was like squeezing this woman's neck. She was like,
No.
that's
So
crazy.
the
Very
bodies
crazy.
you mentioned, how effective are they
Exactly.
currently?
Yes, they are really doing their best. They are doing their best. You see, to be in those groups sometimes is optional
Okay?
because religion, there's freedom of religion.
Yeah.
And if you want to co-opt everybody into the group, you are forcing them.
Yeah.
For those who really don't belong, they cannot be comfortable in those groups. Once, if at all they are invited or not invited, they should have relationship with one another. And in that relationship, there should be cross relationship. Okay, so like you said, we can actually talk to PFN, can about regulation to some extent, and it will be something more reasonable because they know what to regulate and what not to regulate. So,
Okay. So sir, based on my research about this thing called, let's use CAN for example. One thing that I know about them based on research is that their aim is to unify the religious body, like the Christian community, because it's a Christian Association of Nigeria. That's what they stand for. So their aim is to unify the body. And over time, they have done some things because they have a track record of things they've done in different parts of Nigeria, which is obvious. Some are obvious and some is written down. But in our current time, like in these current times, is there any functional thing that they actually, like, have you ever seen any practical thing that they've been doing recently? Like, do you know any recent thing that they've put their hands on? Not what they've done before or proud to then, but now in this society.
well, currently, they are calling for the awareness of Christians to be in politics. Instead of criticizing people who are not doing it right. Why don't you go there if you have the idea? Yes, it's obvious that you have the idea. You run ministries wonderfully and God leads you, you do fantastic things. And then why don't you come and help the government? You can go into the government. Don't tell us bad people.
Yes.
Just go there
And do
and
something.
do something.
Make a change.
Yes,
Make
very
a change.
true.
So that's one of the things they have moved for recently. They have communicated churches to try and come up to that task so that we help ourselves. We cannot keep looking and watch Nigeria collapsing like that and continue to criticize. So those are the things they do.
Thank you, sir. So sorry. Thank you, sir, for getting into politics. I also have a question on that because some people say that the church should not be or religion as well should not be involved in partisan politics.
Yes.
So if the church is to come in, how do you think the church, what role do you think the church can play in politics without, how do I put it? Without looking like they are, playing partisan politics.
Maybe on the fence or this, that.
Yes, or pushing a candidate because they're not actually supposed to push.
Why? Who said they should not come into politics? Who gave the law? Where is it read? Is it from the Bible or from the Quran that they said they should not come into politics? Or is it by just flying opinion in the air? No, it's just the choice that people made in the past to honor themselves and to maintain holiness. But where you maintain the holiness and things are falling on you in silence and all that, and you discover that things are not clear. In fact, in the past, right from the ages of the Bible, from the Israelites, according to the story, you discover that there were times that judges were prophets and
Kings.
they are kings.
Yes.
So they are spiritual people that can hear from God. That they respect God. After all, who anoints the king? It is the prophets. Just like David and even Saul, David and the rest of them. It was Samuel that anointed them. So nothing stops them from coming to politics. They only made it a choice. And it has been part of the doctrine in the country before that. We just find things normal that let people that are there. But when what is happening now is really coming to the level that's becoming unbearable and unrealistic. I mean, if a church can set up a university better than the government university,
Yes.
if they have set up secondary
Let's talk
school
about that.
in the 60s or even in the early before independence, and those schools have brought out quality people, and those quality people just went into silence and nothing happened. And people that doesn't have any know-how or fear of God comes to power and they do what they like, they will still rule over the elect or the righteous.
Yeah.
So it is better that the righteous go there and do things as normal as it should be. It may not be that easy now without awareness, but it is possible.
Okay.
So thank you so much, sir. And I know I spoke earlier about some people who become victims of some, praise, and some, like I said earlier, like some people that are not led by the Holy Spirit, or they're not genuine in, religious activities. So because when you look at some people, I actually asked somebody, like, there are some of all these churches that, some of all these pastors, you can tell clearly, someone from afar can tell clearly that this person doesn't seem like to be of, exactly, or to be, exactly. No, doesn't seem like they are, being led by the Holy Spirit, but you see a congregation there.
Yes.
Because there are people in need, there are people going through things
The
that are
issue
looking. So what advice do you have for people like this to protect themselves, especially people that are looking for miracles and, have needs?
So you mentioned something as a mommy Jew. What kind of mommy Jew does that mean?
Okay, so there is this trend, if you're allowed to talk about it, there's this trend going on. There's a woman called Mom Jew, where she says, can I call outrageous things?
Okay.
Like saying how if you have dreads, you're going to hell. Saying different
Everybody's
things.
actually going to hell with her preaching.
Yes. Based on her preaching, all of us are going to hellfire. That's what her preaching says. Because all the things she says, there are things that are
she
normal.
called her and said, what's her name?
Let me clarify. Her name is Oli Fumilayo. She's an evangelist. She has been evangelizing for, like she said, over 20 years. Even get 24 specifically.
And she called herself mommy Jew.
No, that
we
is
call
a
her,
nickname that
Nigerians
she's
call
been
her
given.
Mommy Jew.
Yes.
Or calls her Mommy Jew.
But her actual name is Evangelist Olufumilayo, and she has gone viral this past few
So it's
months.
people that gave her that name,
Exactly.
Okay.
not her choosing the name.
No,
But
she
she's like a woman of God. She calls herself a pastor. She has a church.
And
She
congregations
is
will
congregation.
love
She is a
lot.
pastor. She doesn't call herself.
I just want to use that because
Yeah.
like she says things like she don't use MasterCard, it's of the devil. She don't use perfumes, it's of the devil. So like that means we are all going to hell.
Yes.
So she's trying to say her congregation, her members, most of them they might be there for miracles because Nigeria these days, like the country is so bad that we have to pray for basic amenities.
True.
Shouldn't be so.
Actually.
These are
very
things that
true.
government should provide, but you see us praying for basic amenities like God, please, I beg, let me just have food to eat today.
Or
God
like
provide
like
electricity. These are things that we shouldn't even pray for. But
Okay.
we keep praying for them. That's why you see us going to churches looking for miracles.
So that's why they call her mommy Jew.
Yeah. And so
Because-
the nickname.
So we are
It's
saying
a
her
nickname.
congregation, how do we say
that
them?
nickname, somehow I see it as a mockery. That
Oh
should
my,
not-
yes.
that
Do you
should
know
not
why?
be.
Yes.
That should not be because, but you some things can be found because there are many. Every good thing will be imitated.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm asking for that clarification. Mommy Jew. Well, if people decide to name her Mommy Jew on their own,
Yeah.
well, they are asking for something great for her. If she can wear such shoe, to God be the glory. But let me tell you, there are many that want to imitate. If you start any business today and it's doing well, or if you are endowed with any quality that brings honor, regard, and everything to you, everybody wants to do the same thing. Whether they have the originality or not,
Yeah.
they just want to be like you. So such people are imitators. They are not necessarily called. They only desire Some people will say some are not called, but they call God. Yes, it's not a crime if you want to serve God. If you feel the need to do things for God, it's appreciated if you do it in the right way. But to some, they see it as, oh, these people are doing well in this business, and they also want to join. And they will fulfill all the regulation you mentioned before that. Yes, you must have this, you must have that. But in the beginning, it's not so. All the churches you see great today did not start that way, to just go and register the first year or the first month they started. No. They must have come far. They must have gone far. Why would you see board of trustee at the beginning of a church? You can't see any board of anything.
My
solicitors.
You can't see it. You don't even have money for a solicitor.
True.
Sometimes on that canopies, I
You
think.
can't. You don't even have.
People subscribe with houses. Like
Yeah,
small
small
houses.
spaces.
It's
Yeah,
let me tell you the story of the Pentecostals in Nigeria. Like the great Ayo Babalola, an apostle
Yeah.
of the
Afe.
No.
but Ayo Babalola is the apostle that was known with CAC, started the Christ Apostolic Church in the 1930s in Nigeria. And he didn't just start the church. God called him. He was a caterpillar technician driver, or tractor operator. And God needed him, God spoke to him. He was not going to listen. There are several things that convinced him, and eventually he came out to begin to preach, and God anointed him so much. It was not that he registered CAC from day one. He came up with so many grace that people that are barren, people that have so many ailments, as he's moving to people that are occultic, that are under that demonic influence, they submitted at his presence. When he comes with the Spirit of God upon him, they submitted to him. They are delivered. People that could not, that are chained with demon. Like I told you, Shango power and all this power, they have their incantations.
Yes.
The Babalawos have it.
Yes.
The Boni have it. There are so many religions, and they have it, and they can punish. If everybody is to take oath in Shango now, there is no control. The fire kill them when they make mistake. So all this have been happening in the early days, how people do all this evil. But when he came in, when God anointed him, he started moving, and many miracles were wrought in the 1930s in Nigeria, particularly in the western region. And he travels around even up to the east and other places. So he continued to grow, and those fruits and those good works really publicized him. And that was the beginning of Christ Apostolic Church and the Apostolic. They were something like Faith Tabernacle. That was not the beginning. But as they grew, they emphasized into the Christ Apostolic Church. And even the Christ Apostolic Church and the Apostolic are the same thing. The only difference between them is the doctrine. That some people said, even now, as much as God is working with us, we don't need any medicine to heal ourselves. Once we cry to God and do what is right, the sickness will go. Some at a level felt that this thing is going too wide. And let's take the Orthodox medicine since they are here and it's helping us. So, on that principle alone, the two of them, they are worship and the same thing is more or less the same thing. That's just the difference between CAC and the like of the Apostolic. The Apostolic, the CAC. So now, coming to what the question is that, remind me your question now.
Like, why do people still engage these people that they are like they do things outrageous?
Yes, you now see this clear reference coming that way. How many people are starting that way again? So people will just go one day, they will get solicitor, they will get board of trustee, they will get everything, and they will set up a church. And they have to work for the solicitor to get his money. They have to work for the trustees to get their return, because they tell them I'm anointed, and maybe they consulted Babalawo or ritualist, and they got, if you understand Yoruba, there's something they call shakabula. You know what is shakabula?
No, I think she
The shakabula is not, it's a gun that you, like the Dengo Bab. It doesn't have much power, but you make big sound. Bam! Whereas a piece too,
It's silent.
silent, but it has so much.
Deadly.
It's
Check out the one the hunters use.
So it is just the same type of power that those people get, and they want to make things happen hurriedly. For a good advertisement, you begin to see repetition of miracle. Repetition of miracle is unnecessary.
Yes.
That's why the Bible says, by their fruit ye shall know them. It's just left for people to be serious and know what they are into. There's no shortcuts.
Yeah.
There's no shortcuts. Anybody looking for shortcuts, we rather take himself through a longer route, which will be detrimental to such lives. So to modify them, if you are talking of modification, yes, the government can put them under or command them to be under those that have good history. After all, everybody know the history of every individual. If you go online to search, you see what individual has been, and there are testimonies from old parents, elderly people. They can, if children will listen, but most youth don't listen these days. They want to go their own way.
Yes.
And the Bible records that in the last day, people will have itching ears, and they will begin to go after their own choice, which is in they will hip up fake prophet to themselves. Right on, pastor.
Yeah. Preach on, sir.
Preach on.
Yes,
And even
prosperity.
if they may go into the church half naked, they say that is their stuff. What do you explain to them to get?
Yeah, so let's like you said, now let's bring it to within a church. Forgetting, let's leave out the outside bodies like Han and PFM. Imagine if I'm an evangelist and you are also a pastor, and I am preaching things that are wrong. Do they within church? Do they actually speak to each other? For instance, now if I'm saying something wrong, would my fellow pastor or evangelist come to me to correct me, or don't they have the right to do that? Is this something that happens within the church?
Yes. Basically, before anybody can be a preacher, apart from some evangelists who were called from their crude form, like the Pentecostals, they hear the word of God even without much knowledge of the Bible. They hear audible voices, which is the Spirit of God that controls them, and they preach. But where they can make mistake is when they put in flesh to control things, and they do not allow much of the Spirit as should be, and flesh override their decision. That's when they make mistakes. On the other hand, there are people that are born into Christianity who practices, and when the awareness comes upon them to do more for God, there are many signs to know if they really know. Because some will just discover what they are doing right is not getting right again. What's the problem? And their parent might have asked God, just like the day of those apostles I was telling you, just have promised, if I have a child, just like Samuel, that this child will be this, will be that. When he's walking contrary to those wills, when the time is mature for him to do what is asked for, he may have problems. And when those problems come, if he can get back to his roots to find out, even if not, some will meet people of God that will tell him, this is what you're supposed to do, this is what there are prophetic utterances. God speaks. God speaks. So, for you to make mistake, it means you are not trained, you don't have the Spirit of God genuinely, or you are running beyond your level to begin to say what you want to happen, even when you don't have the means for it, or when you have not paid your price for it. Basically, in most churches that grow up, pastors are trained. Evangelists are different, but they are also trained. You see, the Bible, in Christianity, we have what we call teacher, pastor, evangelist, prophet, and apostle. So, it's from when you understand the word of God and you have read the Bible, you can teach. Gradually, as you are growing higher, when you see something wrong, you cannot be quiet. You will speak. But when somebody is out speaking outside the Bible and just giving his own doctrine, this and that, it becomes heresies. And he may not be allowed in any church except his self-owned church that he wants to do, like the ones you are saying now. And every other churches, like the church I mentioned, CSC, Redeem, name them all. they have procedures for preachers. They are trained in-house through several years. They give them teachings. Out of that teachings, when they are granted, then they allow them to speak at their level in-house, naming small events around or go around to preach the gospel. So, but for you to want the podium and begin to speak blasphemy, you won't speak it in the name of any known church, and it will not be tolerated. But when you see anybody call the Church of Light and Wonder and this and that and anything, you see horrible names, and so maybe I'll round up with a story.
Yes.
Yes, please.
When I got married, I was in the church, and yes, my wife did not like the church. Why? Yes, she's been to churches in the campus, fellowships. Yes, I'm a local boy, and I've been born and bred in Christianity, and I know that there are prophets, there are teachers, there are apostles, I know. And each time there are problems, pastors can come to our house, or a prophet in the morning, to tell your dad or your mom, dad, this is going to happen, this and that, and it's true. And then what do? Pray, don't do this, don't do that. And we know. So she believes in the word, and all those the still Pentecostal, refined churches. Okay, no problem. We are to be going to a church then. I said, look, this church is good, I like the church. But basically, the doctrine of this church is to bring you out in life, to think with your head, to work hard, and to be successful. You must be successful. This is the doctrine of the church. Refine people that poverty is not a way. You must know how to work, you must use your brain, and you must fear God. Yes, I believe in the church, but money is not my problem. I have never had a problem about money. There is no time I want to work, and I didn't pick myself to any work, I didn't make it. So leave that, I'm not interested. I said, okay, on Sunday, take your car, go to any church you like. Or if you want my car, take my car, go. I can even go. She said, no. And the church I was worshiping with, the pastor of the church called me at around November, December. He said, since your wife is not interested, for a family to function well, you must both sit under the same doctrine.
Yes.
He said he advised me to think about it and see how we can settle it. And I really appreciate him. And that's the church I was born and bred in the olden days, but he is somebody who is knowledgeable, not just a graduate, somebody high up who have understanding. So based on that, and I went back home, that okay, this Sunday, I will look for a church that we'll be going to. And that was what took me to where, and I left a house in Lagos. I was looking for signboards all about. And let me not mention names, but when I see horrible names on signboards, you see Jesus Christ, this, that, and that, apostolic, this and that.
So many.
Okay, you see another name, second order of this and that and that. The first order of this and I began to go. Until I got to a name that I saw, and I look at it. This name is unique. There's no mixture of any whatever in it. And I saw the signboard. The signboard points backward to where I'm coming from, beyond the junction of my house. I didn't drive my car because I just want to fellowship somewhere. And I turned back from that signboard, tracing the signboard, and I got to a house that they called Open Heaven. No roof on the church, nothing.
Open Heaven.
They were drumming this local. They were drumming local drum, and the pastor is a refined pastor. What he saying is sensible, and of all the finished churches and all those ones, my mind says that because I'm born and bred in Christianity, so what this man is saying. And when they will close the service, like we used to do in our old service, the organist in those days, when you are staying late on the pulpit, you will start the organ. That is your time is up.
Talking to
The choir will take the hymn. and they will tell him, we rejoice because you are going home. Our father will come out. So now I got to this church. When they finished the message, they did everything. They just closed grace and they dispersed. I was looking. No choir, no name, no. But all along, everything was fine. What I said was okay. Oh, okay. I got back home to tell my wife, yes, I found a church for you today. Praise God. I didn't know she knows the church more than me. I know the church more than me. So I got home, so I would drop you there, and maybe I will still go to where I was born and bred up and all that. But incidentally, the church is a caring church. They look after you consistently.
How it should be.
So before I know it, I took her there the following week. She knew the church more than me. Me, I didn't, where I told you, I'm a local boy. Where they keep us is where we grew, and what we know is what we know. I read, but I don't go to any other church anyhow. So, but I've been to that church once. From my church in Esan, we did a program there. They call it Giga 95. We went to that, half camp and all that. So I said, okay, this is that church. Okay. By the time we got there, she was more homely with the pastor, and the pastor came to our house the following Sunday. But one wonderful thing was that the fellow during Sunday school that morning, as he was talking, I was contributing. He has reported me that this man, actually I've been ministering in the other church before.
Yeah.
So, but this man, is better than him. The pastor, they said, okay, I saw him. He's a mature man. And they follow up, yes, establish me. And
wow.
Personally, I've been told sometimes in the past, a pastor said, don't worry, I will give them money. I will not be a pastor. I will not give them money. But like I told you,
are.
When the time comes,
you can't resist.
you can't. Otherwise, everything will fail. But you will do it.
Yes.
So
So thank you so much for that story. That we really needed that. Now it's a tradition that we do on the show. This is brought to you by Izesan Speak Esan. It's our app. It teaches various African languages. Igbo is on there, Yoruba is on there, Swahili, African, so many languages. So we would like to know, what language do you speak? What languages do you speak if there are more than one?
I speak Yoruba.
Okay. So we like our guests to actually speak to us. Say something in Yoruba. Maybe about the show, anything at all.
Well, I can greet you.
Okay.
Ekane. Adeku ètò yìí o. Lọ́wọ́ fún yín ṣe o.
Yummy.
I greet you. Good evening, and I'm greeting you. In Yoruba, we have greeting for every hour, everything.
So she educates us all the time. So you have a representative here.
If you are in the morning, Carol. If it is a little bit after hour, not yet afternoon, Eku Yaleta. That is, it's about sun coming out. Eku Yaleta. Then after the sun is up, it's a castle. That's afternoon.
Which one is Eku Releo?
That's evening.
Oh.
That is before night. The day, 5 o'clock. It's no more afternoon.
Yes.
That is towards evening. Eku Releo, the sun has gone down. Everything is easy now.
Yes.
Eku Releo. Then after now, that you see me now, if you see me anywhere now, it's light now. If you don't look what you don't see.
So thank you for watching and listening to State of the Culture, brought to you by Izesan Speak Esan, our language learning app. You can go ahead and download our app on your iOS or Google Play Store and get learning. Special thanks to you, sir, for coming on the show. Thank you, Pastor Alade O Samuel. I hope I got it all. Eshegon, sir. Thank you so much. And to my beautiful co-host, Oluwatosin.
I like that.
Thank you.
I like the energy that you use this time.
Thank you. And to Kelechi as well. You are lovely. I am your host, Angiat and Justina. Thank you so much.
Odabo.
Odabo.